So my mom tells me yesterday that she's not going to Florida. I guess there was an issue because one of her friends that was going to go to Florida with her needed a place to stay afterwards because I guess somebody's been telling them for months that if you go after you go come back from Florida, find yourself another place to stay because you can't stay here because I want you to move out. I want you to move out, and they've been telling them that for months. But apparently they thought my mom was going to be able to house that friend, and my mom said no. And because my mom said no to that friend, and then she feels like that friend hasn't been treating her right and stuff, and she just decided it was no, and she wanted her space to herself and to do, to have her own space and to protect her mental health and stuff like that. Even though her mental health really is kind of jeopardized because every time I talk to her, she complains to me about her friends and the situation and stuff like that, and I'm like, Mom, I don't want to hear about it. I called you for other reasons to talk about other things, but it looks like the trip to Florida is canceled, so they won't be going. But my mom's friends are really mad at everybody right now, and my mom doesn't want to take responsibility. She thinks it's all her friend and stuff, but my mom does act some type of way, and she does act kind of not right, And I know how she acts because I'm her son, and I know that, some of my characteristics and stuff, growing up, I've almost had some of the same characteristics, or still do, to where I kind of can act the same way with certain situations, but I'm trying to heal that situation about, how I act with my mom and being around her traumas and dramas and stuff like that, so it's not always easy to be around my mom because sometimes it brings up these dramas and traumas and stuff and things that need to be healed and just conflictions between us. But, the bottom line is I just want to get online and say she's not going to Florida, which I'm kind of glad because it was so close to September 11th that she was going to get on a plane and try to go down to Florida that I was kind of concerned. So, I'm glad that she's probably not going now. I mean, as far as I know, the situation can change again and they're all back onto the thing. But because she said no to that friend, and that friend was also paying for some stuff and stuff like that, and that friend had dropped out and said, no, don't do it. And then her other friend was like, to my mom, like, Sandy, don't even think about going to this trip. We'll cancel the trip, and etc. Because I guess that other friend was so upset and was getting kind of aggressive and stuff on the phone. My mom said no about them staying with them after they come back from Florida because they had no apartment or nowhere to go. So. My mom was very upset and stuff about that, and a lot of people are very upset about that, but honestly, everything happens for a reason, and everything is for the best, and I think this is probably a very good thing for them not to go, in a way, because I was kind of concerned about them going and leaving me behind, and doing, for them doing the things that they were doing. I was kind of really upset and kind of concerned, so, but yeah, my mom's not going to Florida. Yesterday I did some stuff. I called the pharmacy. The pharmacy, or not the pharmacy. I called the doctor. The doctor told me to bring a letter in about medication being denied because they didn't fill out the proper. Notifications and stuff for the medication. So I need, I got a letter from social services saying, oh, your doctor didn't fill out the proper, information, so we denied the request for your medication and stuff like that. So I was told to bring in the letter on Friday. Even though I'm not going there for a doctor's appointment, I was still told to bring in that letter and share it with my doctor. So, yeah. So I'm at this point where I'm kind of doing what I gotta do. I called my mental health worker yesterday. Not the mental health worker I'm kind of upset with. I'm not really upset with a particular worker more than a particular situation with the program in general. I can't say I'm upset with a particular worker. My therapy session went fine, but it did end on that note where I kind of was in limbo again, because they did say, yeah, that we do know, we might know of such and such, and there may be a good chance they're going to have connections to the recovery. And I'm thinking to myself, well, if that's the case and they become staff, then I lose a lot of people, which, I guess I'm going to have to lose a lot of people anyways, and that's something I'm going to have to face. But I really don't want to lose any of the connections I have or any of the connections I've made when I'm trying to make a separate life away from the recovery. Recovery, as I said before, is still important, but yeah, I did call my worker. The bottom line is I called my worker about some other things, about my cable going up in September, possibly, because I think my cable is going to go up in September, and then I talked to him also about my appointment on Friday, and something else, because I had a bill that popped up for almost like $50 almost for a bill, or two bills for like $50 or so, or over $50. So I need to figure out what those are for, and then if I'm gonna possibly pay them or not. But I really want to see what they're for first before I tell them I'm gonna pay them, because I don't even know why I'm being charged when the insurance should be covering stuff like that. But we'll see. The bill was due in July, and I couldn't pay it in July, so it's probably over a $50 bill, and I couldn't pay it in July, so I'm gonna have to figure out what I'm gonna need to do to pay that bill at some point. But if it's a valid reason, But anyways, just want to get online and say, my mom's not going to Florida. It looks like she's going through stuff. I'm going through stuff of my own accord, because, I'm not going to say my therapy session didn't go well. It went okay, and then it just ended on that note where it kind of, it happened last time. It happened last time when it came to All Lives Matter and Black Lives Matter. It was left on it was left on the decision when I was talking about things that all lives mattered, and I was supposed to go on to All Lives Matter for some weird reason instead of Black Lives Matter, because that was the way to go, and that was because the session had ended, or that's what he's saying, because the session had ended and he wasn't able to follow up. That helped cause part of that drama with All Lives Matter, and between the All Lives Matter and the Black Lives Matter thing, but which kind of caused a lot of conflictions between some people on social media and myself, but so he kind of has these ways of saying things to me in therapy, and then when then he doesn't follow through, and then he's not very clear, and I feel like, well, am I supposed to act on this? Am I not supposed to act on this? So, in a way, I'm acting on something he kind of said and kind of confirmed. And even though the therapy session kind of went well, I'm kind of acting on something he kind of confirmed, where he said yes. They might have connections to the recovery, which means, I asked him openly, what does this mean? What does this mean if they're working with such and such? What does this mean for me as a client and stuff like that? Does that mean I still get to keep in contact with them? Does that mean I don't get to keep in contact with them? Does that mean I'm losing my friends, or losing friends of friends that have connections to the artist that I'm trying to be in with, and etc.? Does this mean that people that I'm working with are trying to be in with now, or does that mean more of them are going to end up in the working with the recovery, and I'm going to end up just being pissed off and not really happy? I got lots of questions going through my head when my worker said yes. They might they might have connections to this agency. So I'm saying to myself, well, I'm acting on a thought. No full, solid, things have happened totally, other than the fact that I was told yes, that they probably do have connections to the thing. So I'm kind of really, maybe in a way I'm acting out of fear in a way, but I just don't want to lose any more people. I want to be able to keep the poets and the artists that I have, and I don't want to lose any more people. But I am kind of in a way acting on a thought, and I just I'm not thinking clearly. I'm not sleeping well. I'm sleeping a little bit, and I actually tried going back to sleep this morning. I tried laying down and going back to sleep, and I didn't go back to sleep. But I'm afraid to have coffee, because I am kind of tired, and it's like I almost want an upper just to keep myself up, just so I can stay awake. But, it's one of those things where I'm thinking to myself, like, he tells me that, and I'm just I'm mulling it over in my head, and I have all these thoughts in my head, and I'm just kind of at this point where I'm getting myself very upset, because he's the one who's kind of told me, yeah, they have connections to your recovery, and it's like, well, all these thoughts are going through my head, and what does this mean for me? Where do I stand? Where do I go from here? And I'm freaking out in my own mind and stuff, to the point where I'm being vocal about it, and I'm saying the things I feel that are on my heart and mind and about the situation, because it's an ongoing situation. It's the same results for the same situation, the same scenario. Obviously, people tell me, oh, people have rights to do what they want to do and get involved with what they want to get involved with, but at the same time, it's conflicting with me. It's conflicting with the life I want to have, and it's conflicting with a separateness that I'm trying to keep in order to keep my mental health and my situation, balanced and mentally healthy and well. And it's kind of being kind of conflicted, because others are doing what they have to do for them. I mean, I didn't tell the mutual friends of friends to get a job or start working with such and such as counselors. I mean, I didn't do that, And they that's not like my counselors can tell people who they're going to end up working with either. When they tell people, oh, you're going to end up working with such and such, they can't do that because of confidentiality. So we're walking into a problem, even when people don't know it. But I'm the first one going to be speaking about it, because it's people going to be walking possibly into a problem to even keep connections and stuff with me, because because I'm going to end up losing. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I've heard rumors that people from Advocacy Unlimited could be friends with people, and there are people who can friend people on Facebook and stuff and do keep in contact, but it's very rare. It's very rare. Usually when a staff member is a staff member, people have to respect boundaries, and there can be no contact after hours and stuff, and you can't really interact with them after hours and stuff. You have a certain hours where you can interact with them on the job, but after hours, it's their time and it's your time, and you guys got to go your separate ways, and you can't really interact or be hanging out with each other, because that's against policy and the rules, and kind of against the law, because of a state thing being a state thing. But so it's kind of like one of those situations where I'm thinking to myself, like, when he says yes, people are going to be possibly working within the recovery. I'm thinking to myself, well, I know people might have not meant to do this, but it's here we go again with the bullshit, because now it's going to open up doors possibly to other people that I didn't want to try to get involved with some of the dramas and some of the other bullshit that I'm feeling and experiencing within my recovery, that I'm trying to keep separate from the individual people that I'm interacting with and trying to work with and trying to do stuff with. So I'm feeling some type of way. I've always been feeling some type of way. I mean, I wrote a post this morning where my back is up against the wall, and it's true. My back is up against the wall. Not that I necessarily want to lash out or, stop using my words or stop using my advocacy, but there's a point in time where if you get, kind of caught up in this point where your back's up against the wall and you don't feel like you can use your advocacy and stuff, and you feel like it's still causing you mental anguish and mental pain and stuff like that, what are your choices? What are the choices you have? Do you feel, because obviously you're going to start feeling kind of aggressive and stuff, and kind of wanting to feel like you're going to want to take it out a different way than normal, because obviously, you can't fix the situation can't be fixed. I mean, when I mention the cops in the ER, that's just normal protocol, When people have a mental health break and stuff, people call the cops. People call the cops, and you either get sent to the ER or you get arrested for your mental health breaks and possibly whatever transpires. But people really need to try to really get their shit together. And I don't know. I mean, I can't speak for people. There's no answers for what people do and say. People are going to do what they want to do, and people are going to do what they want to say. But in the end, it might cause conflictions between me and some of the other artists, because people, mutual friends of theirs are going to do what they're going to do, and then I have to deal with the state, who can't really fully be open and honest with people because of confidentiality and etc. Especially when they know it might cause conflictions or confidentiality matters and stuff like that. So, I mean, I should let this go, but it's kind of like a thing where I can't stress it enough when I mention like the cops and possibly, you know, going to jail or possibly, you know, having to feel like I'm going to act out a certain way. That's all because, you know, your back's up against the wall and you kind of feel like there's no hope, you know. I mean, I don't know how many, you know, advocacy things I can do to advocate for myself and say what I have to say to get, you know, to get my point across. But I mean, I'm working my way with the system, how the system wants you to work, so you can advocate for yourself and etc. Unfortunately, the system's still failing me, and I don't know if that's, you know, on purpose or just by a chance. But it's still not working in my favor. So, but. Yeah, bottom line is my mom's not going to Florida. That's the main reason I'm on this video. So, I don't know. I'm glad she's not going to Florida. I'm glad she's staying where she's staying. I don't know how many of her friends are going to be able to contact her or do what they're going to do for her, because I think some of her friends are really upset with her now. I know her friend Carmela is really upset with her, and they might not be going to Florida at all, and I know that, you know, my mom needs help with a ride to an appointment or something. She might not be able to get it from her friends and stuff, because now some of her friends are kind of on the fence with her and stuff. So I don't know, but it is what it is, you know. It's not easy having to depend on others, and I know that too. It's not easy to have to depend on others for my medical shot, or, you know, certain things for my mental health, or feel like I have to depend on others for a little bit. I mean, I don't always have to depend on others. I can be independent, but I'm just at the point now where, I mean, I have my food. I have the food I have, and I have the food I have for the next couple of days and until the next week or so. And I mean, I don't get paid until, Wednesday or Friday of next week. So, I mean, I got to make it through to Wednesday or Friday of next week before I even get a paycheck or anything, and I can do anything for myself again. So, what I have for food, or what I have for, you know, and stuff in general, is what I have. So, I'm kind of at this position where, I mean, I can do things for myself. I can go out and walk and stuff, but things have been so crazy with, like, the hurricane and stuff, and then there's been now there's this weather where where it's going to be hot out, and, you know, just all these different things about, you know, the weather and stuff like that. So, but it's you know, I can't stress this enough. I don't want to keep going on and on and on about it, because I know people aren't listening. I know people are going to do what they want to do, and people are not going to care. But people are not going to care up until breaking point. I mean, if I have, well, you know, I'm human. We all have breaking points. We all have moments where we might go and have a breaking point and give into our weakness, and then decide that there's no hope, and we kind of act out of character, or act a different way, and we do things we probably later regret. And I know that could come very quickly because of the way things are going and how I've been advocating for myself and feel like I'm getting nowhere. So, you know, I can't stress that enough. I mean, I've advocated and I'm still kind of feeling like a piece of shit because I can't get, you know, my shit made, or my shit taken care of. So, anyways, I'm going to get offline because what I need to do is jump in the shower. I need to make some coffee. I need to jump in the shower. I was trying to look online today because I think there was an event for a community event for friendly hands and stuff going on at the park, where there was going to be free food and activities and stuff. There was going to be like a community day where there was going to be free food and stuff like that at the park. But I'm not sure if it's today or not. I thought it was August 25th. Which was a Wednesday. So, I'm going to try to see if it's today. I mean, if it is today, I'm going to go into the park and see what it's about. But when they say free food, I'm wondering if it's just the fact that they're going to try to sign people up for, you know, for food deliveries, you know, and not really be like, oh, we're going to cook hot dogs and hamburgers and it's going to be free or something, you know. That would be really great if they had cooked hot dogs and hamburgers and, you know, the things were free like that, and people could have a free hot dog and a free hamburger or something, and, you know, sit in the park and enjoy the weather for a little bit and not have to worry about shit. But, you know, anyways, I'm getting offline. I mean, I am working with my counselors. My counselors are not all that bad. Some of my counselors heard me advocate for myself, and some of my counselors seem like they're on my side, you know. Some of my counselors seem like they're on my side, but at the end of the day, the system's the system. I mean, if they feel like they're really going to have to fold in the end, and feel like they're going to have to do something by the system or the overall system or the overall system of the other clients, then we're having like this problem, and this situation where it's just, I don't know, but I'm getting offline.